Hello, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our lesson today, I'm Abdrashid, Abdi Omar Hassan Abdrashid, and I read class 8, Islamic festivals and ceremonies, Islamic teaching on circumcision. Circumcision is also known as khitan. This is the removal of the foreskin of the male reproductive organ. The main reason as to why we practice circumcision is that it is part of cleanness and is a great sign of obedience to Allah's commands. The Prophet said, one who is not circumcised, his salah is not accepted, and his animals slaughtered should not be eaten. Circumcision was first done by Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam at the age of 8 years and continued among the prophets and their followers. The Prophet said, circumcision is sunnah upon the male. Therefore, the Prophet said, circumcision is sunnah upon the male, meaning that it is must and compulsory for men, especially baby boys and men in general. Yes, that is the teaching of the Prophet. Among other things, there are 4 sunnah practices of all the messengers of Allah. These are circumcision, putting on perfumes, brushing the teeth, marrying, and marrying. Those are the 4 main. Remember, we said among the sunnah things that we do is circumcision, putting on perfumes, brushing the teeth, and marrying. Circumcision is highly recommended in the early days of the childbirth because the wounds will heal faster and the pain is less severe. That is very, very important to note. It is highly recommended to be done in the early days of childbirth, especially after 7 days, because the wounds will heal faster and the pain is less severe. The Prophet made his 2 grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, to be circumcised on the 7th day. On the 7th day. Circumcision is best done in hospitals by trained officers. Remember, we said apart from circumcision, there are other celebrations which are done by the Muslims. A good example is, for example, Muslims do what is called tahnik. When a small baby is born, when a small baby is born, what we do as a Muslims is we put something sweet in the mouth of the baby, especially honey. And then we do adhan for the baby on the right ears and iqama on the left ears. And then among others, we have what is called aqiqah. Aqiqah is slaughtering of an animal for a baby who is born on the 7th day. Why do we slaughter an animal for the baby? Because it is part of the traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, we slaughter an animal for the baby, and then we shave the baby, and then we give the baby what is called good Islamic name. Good Islamic name. Among the celebrations that are done to the baby is those are ones, and then we have good circumcision, which is very, very important. And the Prophet said in his hadith clearly that any man who is not circumcised, his salah is not accepted, and the animal is slaughtered, the meat cannot be eaten. It's haram for other Muslims to eat the meat of an animal which is slaughtered by a circumcised man. Therefore, that is why we said the main reason as to why in Islam, the main reason as to why we practice circumcision is because circumcision is a sign of cleanness and obedience to Allah's commands. Therefore, at times questions will appear in the exam and they will ask you, what is the main reason as to why Muslims practice circumcision? Your automatic answer should be because circumcision is a sign of or symbol of cleanliness. If that one is not there, then the other point, which is very, very important, becomes obedience to Allah's commands. obedience to Allah's commands. Therefore, it is upon all the Muslim parents' responsibility to circumcise their baby boys when the right time comes. And we do it. It is recommended to be done in the early days of birth because the wounds will heal faster, and therefore the child can be able to heal very, very fast. Remember, in as much as we are doing an optional activity or devotional act, we also need to look into the safety of our children. And then it is also bad to expose your children to bad practices, like for example, taking our children to untrained personnel. No, that is very, very wrong because any danger can come. It is also very, very dangerous to use the same tools, for example, the same knife or the same razor to circumcise the boys. Assume you are circumcising about 4 or 5 boys or 10 or 11 or 20. You cannot use the same gadget because in the world of today there are several diseases. That is why Islam takes precaution, and the parents are advised to check their children, or circumcision of their babies should be done in the hospitals by trained health officers. What does that one helps? It will help to control disease, spread of disease. It will not expose also the child to the danger, and then it will be very effective and efficient even in the healing process, simply because the person who is doing the act is a trained medical officer, is a trained health officer. Therefore there is no danger that can arise. And maybe even the venue where the activity is taking place, the competition is taking place, might be a hospital where we have medicines and other important substances. Therefore, it is very important for the parents of today, and Islamically it's advised, it's recommended that you take your children to trained health officers for circumcision. Yes, what will happen again is that Islamically, just to go back to what we've learned briefly, we began by saying circumcision is also called qitan. Therefore, if you are asking a question, what does circumcision mean? You say it is qitan. The other name is qitan. What does it involve? We say is the removal of the foreskin of the male reproductive organ. Very, very correct. Then you come down and say, the first person on earth who was circumcised was Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam was circumcised at the age of 8 years, and then the other prophets followed suit. Therefore, together with their followers, now later the prophet advised the Sahabas to circumcise their children after 7 days. And the main reason in Islam as to why we practice, we say, is it is a symbol or sign of cleanliness and obedience to Allah's commands. Very, very important. The main reason as to why we do it in Islam is it is obedience to Allah's commands, and the main further reason is it is a symbol of cleanness amongst the Muslims. Therefore, it is the Prophet advised circumcision is compulsory upon the male. Circumcision is farad upon the male. Therefore, why do you do it? So that you can be able to stay in a clean way. Number two, we said there are 4 other major sunnah practices which are done by almost all the prophets. That is circumcision. Number two, applying perfumes. Number three, brushing the teeth. And number four, marrying. And therefore, circumcision is highly recommended in the early days of the childbirth because the wounds will heal faster and the pain is less severe. The Prophet made his 2 grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, to be circumcised on the 7th day. Circumcision is best done in the hospital by the trained officers. Then the day when you are doing circumcision, I also remind you other activities that take place. For example, shaving the baby, shaving the hair of the baby, and then number two, we also say the baby must be given a good name according to Islam. According to Islam, the baby is given a good name. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and that is the end of our lesson. Be blessed.